Picture this. You put your keys down 2 minutes ago. You remember the exact spot. You can see it in your mind. But when you reach for them, they're gone. Vanished. 20 minutes later, after tearing apart your home, you find them in the first place you looked. Impossible. But it happened. Again. Or your phone, fully charged at 87% when you checked it. You set it down for 10 minutes, pick it up, and it's at 23%. No apps running, no explanation, just gone. Your wallet disappears from your bag. You search everywhere. Hours later, it's sitting on top of the bag in plain sight, exactly where you already checked 3 times. And here's what really disturbs you. These things are accelerating. It's happening more frequently now. You're losing time, losing objects, losing energy, and you've started to wonder if you're losing your mind. You're not. But you're losing something far more valuable, and the force taking it isn't human. Subscribe now. What you're about to learn was deliberately erased from early Christian teachings because it revealed exactly how the powers of this world drain chosen ones of their spiritual energy. If you navigate away, the algorithm may never show you this again. Jesus gave his inner circle a warning about a specific type of spiritual attack that targets those who carry the divine spark. Not about sin or temptation. About systematic energy theft orchestrated by the rulers of this reality. In the Nag Hammadi texts, specifically the Apocryphon of John, Jesus describes the Archons, non-physical entities that govern the material realm and feed on human consciousness. These beings cannot create energy, they can only consume it. And their primary targets aren't the spiritually asleep masses. Their primary targets are you, the chosen ones carrying active monad signatures. For 1700 years, the Church taught you that losing things is carelessness or God testing your patience. Both explanations keep you ignorant of what's actually happening. When you lose objects repeatedly, when electronics malfunction around you, when time skips, when energy drains impossibly fast, you're not experiencing randomness. You're experiencing coordinated archonic assault, designed to destabilize your frequency and harvest the energy you release during confusion, frustration, and fear. Think about the last 3 things you lost. Not misplaced for a logical reason. Lost in ways that defied physics. Keys that teleport, jewelry that disappears and reappears, documents that vanish from locked drawers, money that evaporates from your wallet with no record of spending. These aren't accidents. These are signatures, and by the end of tonight, you will know exactly why this happens to you, how to recognize when it's occurring, and most importantly, how to stop it. If you've experienced unexplained object loss or electronic interference targeted specifically at you, comment, "I see the pattern." This is your acknowledgement that you're ready to understand the mechanism and reclaim what's been taken. To understand why Archons steal from you, you must understand what you are. The Gospel of Truth describes 3 human categories: Helix, made of matter, spiritually asleep; psychics, with souls, capable of belief, but bound by the demiurge's programming; and pneumatics, carrying the pneuma, the divine spark of the monad incarnated in flesh. You're pneumatic. And here's the problem the Archons face. Your presence in this realm is destabilizing to their entire operation. The material world was constructed by the demiurge as a closed system. Energy circulates in predictable patterns. Fear generates loosh, the emotional energy Archons consume. Suffering, anxiety, despair, confusion. All of these states produce the frequency they feed on. Humans, particularly Helix and unawakened psychics, are reliable generators. They produce loosh consistently through their programmed reactions to the stimuli the Archons create. Financial pressure, relationship drama, health scares, social conflict. But you don't generate loosh the same way. Your divine spark means you have the capacity for gnosis, direct knowing, which bypasses fear. When you're aligned with your true nature, you don't produce the low-frequency emissions the Archons need. Worse, from their perspective, you generate a high-frequency field that disrupts their feeding operations in your vicinity. You're walking interference. Your very existence costs them energy, so they developed a countermeasure. If they can't feed on your fear naturally, they will manufacture situations that force you into confusion and frustration, states that mimic fear frequency. And one of the most effective methods they discovered is the disruption of your material anchor points, your keys, your phone, your wallet, your important documents. These objects are not just physical items. They are psychological anchors. They represent your sense of control, order, and stability in the material world. When these anchors are suddenly removed, your rational mind short-circuits trying to explain the impossible, and in that moment of cognitive dissonance, you leak energy. The testimony of truth describes how the rulers employ powers of confusion to disorient those awakening. This isn't metaphor, this is operational doctrine. Archons can't touch you directly because your monad signature repels them, but they can manipulate matter around you. They exist at a frequency adjacent to physical reality, close enough to influence probability fields and electromagnetic systems, but not dense enough to be seen. Let me give you the 7 mechanisms, 7 specific ways Archons steal your energy through object loss and system malfunction. The first mechanism is the displacement loop. You place an object in location A. You clearly remember doing this, but when you return seconds or minutes later, the object is gone. You search everywhere. You retrace your steps. You check location A multiple times. Nothing. Then suddenly the object reappears in location A, exactly where you first placed it. The rational explanation is that you missed it. But you know you didn't miss it. You checked that spot directly multiple times. The object was not there, and then it was. What happened is a localized reality distortion. The Archons created a brief temporal or dimensional displacement, moving the object slightly out of phase with your perceptual field. It never left the physical location. It left your ability to perceive it. During the time you spend searching, your emotional state shifts from certainty to confusion, to frustration, to self-doubt. Each of these emotions produces a measurable frequency shift, and at each shift you release a pulse of energy that the Archons harvest. The Gnostic text Pistis Sophia describes Sophia's descent into the lower realms where the Archons distorted her perception so that what was before her she could not see. This is the same principle applied to you. Your perception is being manipulated, and your response to that manipulation is the commodity they're extracting. The reason the object reappears after you have expended energy searching is that the Archons release the distortion once they have fed. The object returning is not mercy. It is evidence of completion. They got what they wanted. The second mechanism is technology drain. Your phone battery depletes impossibly fast. Your computer crashes when you're working on something important. Your car won't start for no mechanical reason. Electronics malfunction specifically around you while working perfectly for others. This isn't coincidence, and it isn't you being cursed. This is targeted electromagnetic interference. Archons exist as non-physical entities, but they interact with physical reality through electromagnetic fields. Every electronic device you use operates on electromagnetic principles. These devices are extraordinarily vulnerable to subtle field manipulations. The Archons have learned that by disrupting your technology, they accomplish multiple energy harvest goals simultaneously. First, the immediate frustration when the device fails produces a spike of harvestable emotion. Second, the time and energy you expend troubleshooting, resetting, replacing creates sustained low-level stress. Third, and most insidious, the malfunction often occurs at critical moments, compounding your stress with actual material consequences. The secret Book of James contains a line scholars never understood. The powers governing the lower realm have learned to speak through the things humans depend upon, turning tools into traps. But here's what most don't realize. The electromagnetic disruption targeting your devices is actually targeting you. Your body is electromagnetic. When Archons manipulate the EM field around devices, you're standing in that manipulation zone. The device drain is a side effect. The real target is your biofield. The third mechanism is the false memory implant. You remember placing something in a specific location. The memory is clear, detailed, certain, but when you search, the object is not there. Eventually, you find it somewhere completely different, somewhere you know you would never put it. But now you question yourself. Did you actually put it in the first place? Are you remembering wrong? Your certainty crumbles, and you begin to doubt your own mind. This is the most psychologically damaging mechanism, because it attacks your trust in your own perception and memory. The Archons don't just move objects, they can insert false sense impressions, fleeting pseudo-memories that feel real but are manufactured. In the hypostasis of the Archons, it is written that the rulers cast forgetfulness over Adam to keep him from remembering his true origin. The same technique is applied in miniature every time they make you doubt your memory of where you placed your keys. Why is this so valuable to them? Because chosen ones operate on gnosis, direct knowing. Your power comes from trusting your inner perception over external authority. When you doubt your own memory, you weaken your connection to gnosis. You begin to second-guess your intuition. You start to believe that maybe you're not as aware as you thought. Maybe you're more scattered than you realized. Maybe you can't trust your own mind. And in that state of self-doubt, you're far more susceptible to external programming. You become easier to control, easier to feed upon, easier to keep trapped in the demiurge's system. The fourth mechanism is energy signature attachment. Certain objects you own seem to disappear more frequently than others. Your favorite pen, a specific piece of jewelry, a particular book. These items are not randomly targeted. They are chosen because of the energy you have invested in them. Every object you interact with regularly absorbs your electromagnetic signature. The more you handle something, the more emotionally significant it is to you, the more of your energy becomes embedded in its material structure. The Archons can sense this. They can detect which objects carry the strongest imprint of your frequency, and these are the items they prioritize for displacement. Because when you lose something you care about, something imbued with your energy, the emotional response is amplified. You don't just feel frustration, you feel loss, violation, sometimes even grief. These deeper emotions produce richer energy for harvest. The Gospel of Philip teaches about the garments of the soul and how attachment to material forms creates vulnerability. Every object you emotionally invest in becomes a potential anchor point for manipulation. The fifth mechanism is time slip coordination. You lose track of time. You sit down for 10 minutes and 2 hours passed. Or the inverse, an hour-long activity took 15 minutes. Alongside these anomalies, objects disappear. You put something down during the time slip and it's gone when linear time resumes. You can't retrace your steps because you can't remember the sequence. The timeline feels scrambled. The Archons exploit the malleability of your temporal perception. They create localized time distortions, small bubbles where your experience of duration doesn't match external measurement. During these slips, your consciousness is partially detached from linear flow, and you're highly vulnerable to energy extraction. The concept of our great power explains that time is a weapon of the Archons, used to trap consciousness in sequential thinking. When they disrupt your perception of time, they disorient you at the deepest level. You can't trust your sense of what happened. You can't reconstruct events. In that disorientation, massive amounts of energy leak from your field. The sixth mechanism is social doubt amplification. You lose something. You search frantically. Someone else finds it immediately in a place you already checked. They give you that look. You're losing it. You feel shame, inadequacy, confusion. The doubt is bad enough, but the social dimension amplifies it exponentially. Archons understand social programming. Humans are pack animals, and social judgment is one of the most potent emotional triggers. When your loss is witnessed, when your confusion becomes a social event, the emotional energy you generate multiplies. You're not just frustrated. You're embarrassed. You're worried about how you appear. You question your competence. The authoritative teaching describes how the powers use the voice of others to plant seeds of doubt within the awakened ones. When someone finds your lost object and makes you feel foolish, that's orchestrated. The Archons time the displacement and discovery to maximize your emotional response and make you doubt the phenomenon's reality. The seventh mechanism is cascade collapse. One thing goes wrong, then another in rapid succession. Keys disappear. Phone dies. Wallet missing. Computer crashes. All within the same day, sometimes the same hour. This isn't bad luck. This is coordinated multi-vector attack designed to overwhelm your coping capacity and induce acute stress. When chosen ones are on the verge of breakthrough, when they're about to access higher gnosis or make a significant consciousness shift, the Archons mobilize maximum interference. The cascade collapse is their emergency response. By hitting you with multiple simultaneous disruptions, they force you into survival mode. Your higher faculties shut down. Your spiritual awareness narrows. All energy focuses on solving immediate material problems. In that state, you're temporarily neutralized. The dialogue of the Savior records Jesus explaining, "When you draw near to the fullness, the powers of deficiency will assail you from all sides at once." Every chosen one who has experienced rapid acceleration in their awakening has also experienced the cascade. Now the countermeasures. Once you see the pattern, once you recognize the attack, you can neutralize it. The Archons rely on your ignorance. The moment you wake up to the reality of the theft, their effectiveness drops dramatically. The first countermeasure is immediate recognition. The instant something goes missing in a way that defies logic, speak it aloud. I recognize this as archonic interference. Don't question yourself. Don't search frantically. Stand still. Take 3 deep breaths. By naming the phenomenon, you refuse to generate the confusion energy they're farming. In the second treatise of the Great Seth, Jesus tells his followers, "The power of recognition dissolves the illusion." When you recognize the attack, you stop feeding it. Most times, within minutes of your recognition and refusal to engage emotionally, the object reappears because there's no point maintaining the displacement if it's not generating energy. The second countermeasure is declaration of sovereignty. Place your hand over your heart and state firmly, "I am a sovereign being. My energy is my own. I do not consent to this interference." Consent is metaphysically significant. The Archons operate within certain constraints. They prefer when you unconsciously consent through your beliefs and reactions. By explicitly declaring non-consent, you invoke spiritual authority they must acknowledge. The thunder. Perfect mind speaks in the voice of divine feminine declaring sovereignty over all realms. When you declare your sovereignty, you channel that principle. You remind the Archons and yourself that you're not their property. You're not their food source. You're a fragment of the monad temporarily inhabiting this realm, and your energy is not available for theft. The third countermeasure is field stabilization. The Archons can only create these disruptions when your electromagnetic field is destabilized. Stress, fear, anger, exhaustion, all of these states create incoherence in your biofield, making you vulnerable. The practice is simple but must be done daily. Spend 10 minutes in the morning and 10 minutes at night consciously stabilizing your field. Sit or stand. Place one hand on your heart, one on your solar plexus. Breathe slowly. As you inhale, visualize drawing energy up from the earth through your feet. As you exhale, visualize drawing energy down from above through your crown. See these two currents meeting in your heart, creating a stable vortex. Feel your field becoming coherent, solid, impenetrable. The discourse on the 8th and 9th describes this as the building of the inner temple, which the powers of the world cannot breach. A stable field means the Archons cannot easily manipulate the matter around you. The electromagnetic coherence you generate creates a protective buffer. Objects stay where you place them. Electronics function normally. Time flows consistently. The difference is palpable once you establish this practice. The fourth countermeasure is energetic reclamation. Every time Archons have stolen energy through these mechanisms, that energy isn't gone. It's held in their systems, but you can call it back. Once weekly, sit in meditation and speak. I call back all energy taken from me through confusion, frustration, and manufactured chaos. I reclaim what is mine. It returns to me now, purified and amplified. As you speak, visualize streams of light returning to you from all directions, pouring into your heart center. You may feel warmth, tingling, or sudden clarity. This is your energy coming home. The gospel of truth teaches that what belongs to the fullness will return to the fullness. The fifth countermeasure is witness anchoring. Tell someone you trust about these experiences. Not to complain, but to create a witness outside yourself. When you externalize the pattern, when someone else knows what you're experiencing, it becomes harder for Archons to use social doubt against you. You have an ally who can confirm this is happening and you're not imagining it. The sixth countermeasure is gratitude disruption. The moment you realize something's missing, before panic sets in, say aloud, "Thank you for showing me I'm important enough to target. Thank you for confirming I carry something you need. Thank you for reminding me of my power." This reverses the entire energetic dynamic. Archons are trying to make you feel powerless, scattered, diminished. By responding with gratitude, you reframe the attack as confirmation of your significance. You refuse to play victim. The tripartite tractate explains that the powers feed on those who see themselves as victims, but cannot touch those who know their true nature. When you thank the Archons for revealing your importance by their attention, you transmute the energy of the situation. Gratitude generates a high frequency they cannot consume. It's poison to their system. And often the harassment stops immediately because you've rendered it ineffective. The seventh countermeasure is the offering replacement. Here is an advanced technique that the Gnostic adepts used. When you recognize an archonic attack, consciously offer them something else. Visualize taking a small portion of neutral energy, energy that carries no emotional charge, no frequency they can use, and mentally placing it before them like a distraction treat. Then, reclaim your focus and go about your business. This works because the Archons are not intelligent in the way humans are intelligent. They are more like programs, like automated systems running patterns. When you offer them something, even if it is energetically useless to them, they often take it simply because that is what they do. They consume whatever is offered. By the time they realize the offering has no nutritional value, you have moved on. Your field has stabilized, and the attack window has closed. The secret book of John mentions how Jesus taught disciples to give the powers what they expect, but withhold what they seek. This is that teaching in practice. Place your hand on your chest, feel your heartbeat. That's the monad pulsing through a matter, animating the body you wear, powering the consciousness you are. Every time your keys disappear, every time your phone dies inexplicably, every time you lose track of something important, you're being given an opportunity, not a punishment. An opportunity to see the mechanism, to recognize the theft, to practice sovereignty. The Archons reveal themselves through these small violations, and in doing so they give you the chance to awaken further to the reality of this prison and your power within it. Comment "My energy is sovereign" if you're ready to implement these countermeasures and stop the theft. Subscribe because the next teaching reveals what happens when chosen ones reclaim enough energy to begin dismantling archonic structures in their local environment. Turn on notifications. Like this video so others being targeted can find these countermeasures. You were marked as a target because you're valuable. The Archons don't waste time on those who pose no threat. Every frustration, every lost object, every drained battery has been part of a calculated campaign to keep you weak, confused, and doubtful. But now you know. Now you see the pattern. And knowledge is the beginning of liberation. The Gnostics taught that gnosis, direct knowing, breaks the chains of the demiurge. You've just received gnosis about one of his primary control mechanisms. Use it. Practice it. Share it with others who are ready. The Archons have been stealing from you in plain sight for years, hiding behind the excuse of your carelessness and bad luck. That ends today. Reclaim your energy, stabilize your field, declare your sovereignty, and watch how quickly the chaos in your life transforms into order when you stop feeding the parasites that have been draining you since birth. You're not losing your mind, you're finding it, and that's exactly what they've been trying to prevent.